my fail-safe.
We got red lights on both of them.
Welcome to our Shenandoah County Candidate Forum tonight for District 5 School Board candidates. My name is David Hutton. I'm chairman of the Shenandoah County Chamber of Commerce. I'd like to start tonight by thanking our partners for this candidate forum. They are the Farm Bureau of Shenandoah County, Shenandoah County Education Association, the Alliance for the Shenandoah Valley, and the Shenandoah County Chamber of Commerce. This forum is intended to be a civil, nonpartisan discussion of the issues and respectful of all candidates. I will be asking the questions tonight, and the questions were provided by the voters online. We have reviewed the questions only to make sure that they're not too long and that they meet the specified criteria. We've received lots of questions for this evening's forum, and we'll do our best to get through as many as possible. Our schedule for these forums is a 2-minute introduction by each candidate. Then we will ask questions, and each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer. We'll have timers to make sure they stay within the allotted time, and then each candidate may ask for an opportunity for a 30-second rebuttal. At the end, each candidate receives a 2-minute time for a closing statement. Tonight, we welcome Mr. William French, the candidate for District 5 School Board. Unfortunately, Ms. Brandi Rutz could not be here tonight due to a personal family matter, so all the questions will be directed towards Mr. French with the opportunity to respond. So with all that said, welcome Mr. French, and we'll start with a 2-minute opening.
Thank you. My name is William French. I was born and raised here in Shenandoah County. I'm a 2007 graduate of Central High School. From there, I went to Virginia Tech and got a bachelor's and master's in mechanical engineering. I moved to the Midwest for 3 years after college, and after 3 years away from home, I had to come back. My family in this area meant so much to me, I couldn't stay away. And so this summer, when some friends and family asked if I would run for school board, after giving a lot of thought, I was honored to run. I care deeply about my community. I think that what takes place in our schools is incredibly important. And I'm excited to run for school board and excited to make a difference in my community. Thank you.
Excellent. Our first question tonight is around your qualifications and your experience. Why are you running for school board? What makes you the best candidate? What qualifications do you bring to the position?
Absolutely. As I said, I'm a 2007 graduate of Central High School. I'm familiar with our community. I think I have a good understanding of what's important to us. And in my time, in my professional life, I've worked for several large organizations. Right out of school, I worked for John Deere in the Midwest, and I'm currently working for them as a contractor, working remotely, so I'm able to be here in Shenandoah County. I've also worked for Trex in Winchester, which is a large manufacturing organization. Schools are not factories, but I think there's a lot of direct applicability in managing large organizations. I think my time there has shown me that to be effective, you really need to keep your eye on the ball. I think for us, what's important in our schools is educating our kids. There's ways that we can measure that. I'm an engineer. I think metrics are incredibly important. So saying, this is how we define success in Shenandoah County Public Schools, and this is what we're going to go do to achieve that. And then every meeting say, hey, this is our definition for success. What are we doing to meet these metrics? And holding people accountable to those things that we say is important, which is educating our kids. I think my professional life has told me this is how you achieve that. This is what you go get. And I'm excited to bring that unique perspective to the Shenandoah County School Board.
Thank you. Name your top 3 priorities as a Shenandoah County School Board member.
So obviously, I think my first priority as a school board member is educating our kids. The test scores from 2020 were very disappointing, and I don't think that we should jump up and down about what happened in a COVID year. Everything was upside down. But if you go to 2019, especially at the elementary level, 40% of our students failed their reading SOLs. 25% of our students failed their math SOLs. And if we're not educating our students in math and reading at the elementary levels, we're not setting them up for success later on. I think improving the education, not just to meet test scores, but so that their education is better, and so that they do better on those tests is step one. And I think to achieve that, we need to have good teachers in the classrooms, and our schools need to be fully staffed. My second priority is making sure that we are retaining our teachers, we're attracting our teachers. Some of that is accomplished through pay, but a lot of it is accomplished by the atmosphere in the schools. I think unless we talk to our teachers and say, hey, what is causing you to leave our school system, and then going and solving those issues, we're not going to be able to retain teachers. I think that's cost effective, and without retaining good teachers and fully staffing our schools, we won't be able to educate our kids. And priority 3, I think, is transparency for our voters. There's a lot of mistrust between the school board and the board of supervisors. And a lot of mistrust between the voters and the school board. I'm a principled man, and I believe in transparency. And I think clearly communicating how I feel on issues, why I vote the way I do, and making sure that everyone feels like they understand the positions and the values of our school board is important. Thank you.
What do you feel are the biggest challenges facing Shenandoah County?
Well, I think Shenandoah County, historically, we've seen a lot of industry leave Shenandoah County. There were 2 Eileen plants, a Wrangler plant, Johns Mansville. We've seen industry leave Shenandoah County. We've seen our tax base leave. And so now we have the taxpayers of Shenandoah County that are having to fully support our school system, which makes it difficult. And I think that from an educational standpoint, having parents that have to leave the county to go work in Winchester or Harrisonburg makes things difficult for after-school childcare. I think all of that wraps up to a lot of social issues that make education difficult, make learning difficult for our students. But the school system's job is to educate the kids that walk through the door, right? We have to help every kid reach their full potential, and making sure that we're not overwhelmed by the discipline issues in the schools, not overwhelmed by respect issues in the schools, and understanding that everyone's coming from different walks of life. I think is challenging for our school system, and something that we have to make sure we treat students with respect, and through that help improve our educational outcomes.
What are your plans to address overcrowding in our schools and our aging buildings that are reaching the end of their useful life?
So I was part of the last 5th grade class to attend Peter Muhlenberg Middle School, almost 20 years ago, maybe more than 20 years ago. 20 years ago, our school system made a compromise to create one of the largest elementary schools in the state of Virginia, in W.W. Robinson, and not far behind in Sandy Hook. And it's become unmanageable. Those 2 elementary schools are too large. I think it's caused all kinds of problems, from starting lunch at 10:30 in the morning to traffic when you pick up kids. And I don't think there's a way out of it that doesn't involve building another elementary school in Shenandoah County. I don't know that that's a problem that I could solve as a school board member. It's certainly going to take longer than 4 years. But I think we've been kicking the can down the road for 20 years on that, and it's time to solve it.
What do you think are the most important qualities of a county when the families and or businesses are looking for somewhere to settle down?
As families and businesses go, I think there's a lot of things that individuals have to consider. From a family standpoint, schools are incredibly important. when families with children decide where to live. I think cost of living is incredibly important. And I think Shenandoah County, as someone who has friends in Northern Virginia and Richmond and Charlottesville, I'm proud to wave the flag and say, hey, we've got one of the best costs of living anywhere in Virginia. In addition to having wonderful resources and the ability to, I'm not far from DC. We can go in and watch a Nationals game if we want to, I think Shenandoah County is uniquely located from a cultural standpoint. And I love living here for the outdoor recreation opportunities. I think when a business locates here, you have to say, what's the workforce, right? When I worked at Trex, they're exploring options for opening a new site. How are the people of the county educated? What skills are they prepared to offer? I think if you look at our vocational program at Triplet Tech, I think that's an area where we can work with local businesses and say, hey, what's important to the employees at your business, and what can we do to better prepare them there? So I think there's a lot of factors that go into it. I think Shenandoah County is uniquely well suited for families and businesses because of our climate, the people, and cost of living and cost of doing business.
If you're elected, do you intend to reverse the name change of the schools at the southern campus? If so, how would you suggest covering the cost of changing the school names back?
The school name change has been a very divisive issue in Shenandoah County. Talking with voters when knocking on doors, there's a lot of issues that people had with the name change, and it wasn't just, we're in a area where the Civil War history is incredibly important to us. That name reflects that Civil War history. A lot of the issues had to do with how the name change was gone about, how the name change was paid for. And I think when you look at changing the name back, all of those issues are still present, right? I think the name was changed without considering the will of the voters, but I don't know that the will of the voters is being considered in changing the name back. I do not think that changing the name back improves the educational outcomes for any of the kids at what is now Mountain View High School. And because my number one priority is how do we improve the education of our children, I don't think that changing the name of the school back makes sense.
You had mentioned before about how the retention of staffing was important to you, one of your top three. Elaborate a little bit more on policies or actions that you would take around not only retaining our teachers, but also our school bus drivers and recruiting new individuals in those positions.
Absolutely. I think critically, I don't have all of the answers for how we retain our staff. I think step one in figuring out how we retain our staff is to do exit interviews with the people that are leaving and figure out from a statistical standpoint, why are we driving our people away? We talk a lot about money, but people don't leave jobs because they don't get paid enough. They leave jobs because they don't like it, and it's too frustrating. I think talking with teachers, a lot of frustration around being treated as a professional and how they're able to use their vacation days. We have 50% of our teachers have master or have advanced degrees. Are we treating our staff like professionals? If you work at anywhere else as a professional, if you want to take a personal day, you can take a personal day. But beyond that, talking with the teachers and figuring out, hey, what are the frustrations in your day? Your most important job is educating our kids. What are you doing that's not educating our children in a day that we can take off your plate? What can we do to make your day better as a teacher? And those aren't necessarily money, right? I think things like teachers having to show up early to do bus duty. Is that a job that we really need our teachers to do to educate our students? Is that a job that's better handled by a paraprofessional, right? There are lots of things that we can go about talking to our teachers and figuring out, hey, how do we make your day better? And that's my biggest idea, right, is let the teachers tell us what we can do to improve the conditions in schools.
Thank you. Final question tonight. Do you feel that with political endorsements, how can you assure that you will consider what's best for all students and not just those families that align with certain political endorsements?
Absolutely. I did not seek political endorsement in running for school board. I'm glad that our school board is a non-political position or an independent position. And I think one of my strengths is the ability to communicate with people and talk with people that I disagree with, right? I'm happy to hear all viewpoints. My goal is to understand, even with people that I disagree with, why do you feel that way? And how do we come to solutions that benefit our students and not our politics? I think one of the frustrations for me in this race is how much the national and state politics drive the conversation of the race, and not what are the issues that face Shenandoah County in particular and our students in particular, and what do we need to do to solve those issues? I think there are issues that are unique to us, and I think that our school system has taken the eye off the ball of what is critical to improving education today in Shenandoah County Public Schools. And then what do we do to improve education tomorrow? What do we do to improve teacher conditions today? And what do we do to improve teacher conditions tomorrow? I think those are the most important things that our school system can do. And I don't think that those are wrapped up in the political messages that are thrown about around a lot of school board races. So I'm not excited about wading into those social issues, and I want to solve our problems as a school system. I'm excited to work with everybody in Shenandoah County, taxpayers and parents alike, to figure out what's important to you and how do we make sure that our school system meets those needs.
We'll conclude tonight's forum with an opportunity for you to give a closing statement.
Thank you. My message to the voters is that I care about student performance. I care about education of all the kids that walk through the door of Shenandoah County Public Schools. I care about being responsible with taxpayer money and being responsible with our school's time. And I think I'm uniquely well suited to do that. And I would sincerely appreciate your vote on November 2nd. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. French. I'll conclude by thanking Mr. French for joining us tonight, and thank the partners again who made tonight possible: the Farm Bureau of Shenandoah County, Shenandoah County Education Association, the Alliance for the Shenandoah Valley, and the Shenandoah County Chamber of Commerce. Special thanks to everyone who helped out this evening, to the candidates for participating, to everyone who submitted a question, and to Mr. Hank Zimmerman with Shenandoah Valley Productions for the video support. I remind everyone to either vote early or vote on November the 2nd. Thank you.